Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we will review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Eruvin, pages 35 through 41, Lamed Hey through Mem Aleph. 35. The Mishnah tells us, Nitgalgel chutz latchum, if one's Eruv Techumin food rolled beyond the Sabbath boundary, Nafal alav gal, or had a pile of rubble collapse on top of it, or nisraf, or was burned. So in all these cases, the Eruv food is no longer where it should be or is inaccessible, or Truma v'nitmeit, it was made out of Truma and became impure, Tme'ah, and now cannot be eaten. So in all these cases, the food is no longer qualified to function as an Eruv. Miba'od yom eino Eruv, if these events happen before darkness on Friday, going into Shabbat, then the Eruv is invalid. However, if these events all took place after Shabbat began, then the Eruv remains valid even though the food is no longer extant or accessible or kosher. Im safek, but what happens if we don't know when this event happened, when the Eruv rolled beyond the boundary, when it burned, when the pile of rubble fell on top of it? Is the Eruv valid or is it invalid? Rabbi Meir v'Rabbi Huda omrim, hareza chamar gamal. This is an example of the donkey driver and the camel driver, meaning a person is bound by the restrictions of both their home, their real home, and their Eruv, that they don't have 2,000 cubits from either location, but rather they only have the overlapping area of the two possible home places. Lamed Vav. There's a question in the Gemara whether Sof Hayom Kona Eruv or Tchilat Hayom Kona Eruv. Does the end of the day or the beginning of the day acquire the Eruv? What is the end of the day? What is the beginning of the day? Well, the end of the day is the beginning of the twilight period when the previous day is coming to a close. The beginning of the day is the end of the twilight period when the new day is definitely beginning. The question is at what juncture, at what moment must the Eruv food be extant and available in order for it to be valid? And some Tanaim say the beginning of the day, Tchilat Hayom, and some say Sof Hayom, the end of the day. But all parties appear to agree be'inan suda haruyam ba'od yom, that you require a feast, a meal that was available to be eaten when it was still daytime on Friday. Lamed Zayin, 37. Ha'omer ma'aser sheyesh li bebeiti, if a person were to say this ma'aser which I have in my house, this ma'aser sheni, secondary tithe, mechulal al sela shetalem yadi minakis, shall be redeemed onto a coin which I will pull out of my pocket, out of my wallet. Rabbi Yossi Omer Mechulal. Rabbi Yossi says that the Maaser Sheni is already redeemed from that very moment. This is an example of retroactive clarification, the principle of Yesh Bereira, in the viewpoint of Rabbi Yossi, because there are many coins in a person's purse or a person's wallet, and he doesn't know which coin he's going to pull out of his wallet. And yet, whichever one it might be, it will in hindsight turn out to be that was the one on which the Masir was redeemed. So Rabbi Yossi in this instance is articulating the notion of Yesh Bereira. Lamed Chet, 38. A suggestion is made as to how one might be able to use the same food item for an Eruv Techumin on a situation when Friday is Yom Tov that comes out just before Shabbat. Ketzad huose. What happens if you want to use the same food for the Eruv Techumin on Friday and Saturday? Molicho barishon, you shall walk with the food item late in the day Thursday to the spot where you would like the Eruv Techumin to be located. Umachshich alav, and you stay there until it gets fully dark out. V'not lo balo, and then you take that food with you and you walk home. Basheni, on late Friday afternoon going into Shabbat, machshich alav, you go over to the place where you want the Eruv to be. Ve'ochlo balo, and after it gets dark out, you eat the food right then and there. Why do you eat it there? Because you can't take it home with you since you can't carry on Shabbat. Why would you not just leave it there? Because you don't want dogs to eat the food or bears to eat the food. You want to have it for yourself. As it turned out, you benefit thereby in the sense that you can walk further on Shabbat. You have your Eruv Techumin, an extra 2,000 cubits. And you have the food, and that you could eat the food, and it's not going to be eaten by an animal. Lametet. Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinas Omer. Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinas said, however, if you go before the ark to lead the services, B'Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah, on the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, Omer, what do you say? Hachalitzenu Hashem Elokeinu ad Yom Rosh HaChodesh Hazeh. You shall say, may God fortify us on this Rosh Chodesh day, Im Hayomim Loachar. Whether that Rosh Chodesh is today or is tomorrow. Now bear in mind, Rosh Hashanah is observed for 2 days. only one of those days is the actual Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. The way we observe it, it's the first day, Aleph Tishrei, not the second day, Bet Tishrei. However, in antiquity, when they did not have the fixed calendar, they did not know which day was the real Rosh Chodesh. And so, Rabbi Dosa says, on the first day, you'll say whether it's today or tomorrow. Ulamachar, and the next day, you'll say whether it was today or yesterday. But the sages did not agree with this. They did not like this idea at all. And in fact, the halacha, as it is codified, makes sure that we do not mention Rosh Chodesh on Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because we are concerned that if the people, through the davening, were aware which day of Rosh Hashanah was the actual Rosh Chodesh, they might be negligent, or rather be dismissive of Mizalzel, the other day, which they would know under Torah law is not really the holiday. Mem, 40. Rosh Hashanah shechal liot b'Shabbat. If Rosh Hashanah falls on a Saturday, like it does this year, Beit Shammai omrim mitpalel eser. Beit Shammai says that in the Musaf davening there are 10 blessings. Beit Hillel omrim mitpalel teisha, whereas Beit Hillel says no, there are 9 blessings. In fact, we do 9 blessings because we have Malchiot, Zichronot, and Shofarot, 3 middle blessings that are surrounded by the first 3 and last 3 that are the same every day of the year. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9. Why does Beit Shammai say there are 10? Because in his view, we do not collapse the Shabbat aspect of the day into the Malchiot prayer, but rather it has its own standalone blessing. Whereas Beit Hillel says, no, we'll wrap together the Shabbat aspect in Malchiot. Mekadesh HaShabbat v'Yisrael v'Yom HaZikaron. Mem Aleph, 41. Tisha B'Av shechal liot b'Shabbat. What happens if Tisha B'Av falls on a Saturday? Uv'chein erev Tisha B'Av shechal liot b'Shabbat. Or the 8th of Av falls on Shabbat. So the fast day is going to be observed on Sunday. Ordinarily, the pre-fast meal for Tisha B'Av is a very limited meal. We're already in mourning, and we are not allowed to have 2 cooked foods, but rather we customarily have a roll with eggs and ashes. So what are you allowed to eat when it's Shabbat? Ochel v'shoteh kol tzorko. You could have as big a feast as you would like. You're allowed to put on the table even like the feast of King Solomon. There are no limitations on the large feast that you can have for the Seudah Shlishit on Shabbat, even though it is right before the fast of Tisha B'Av. Everyone have a great week. Ashana Tova u'Mituka to one and all.